everyone. Thank you for joining for this session of Azure Power Lunch. And today we're going to be talking about Azure Application Gateway updates. Just a quick heads up that we record these sessions and we place this recording on our YouTube channel. So if you don't want to be recorded, you may want to drop off now. Okay. Um, so today we're going to be talking about Azure Application Gateway updates. Azure Application Gateway, as you know, that one of our Microsoft Layer 7 load balancer. So we're going to just quick recap, 1 minute recap of this. And then we are going to be spending more time on a couple of updates. Number one, the big one is that Azure App Gateway private deployment after a long time is now GA. Okay. And the second one is that we have the custom block response code. So basically, with that WAF, you have now the capability, application gateway WAF, that you can have a custom block response. And we'll take a look at it. Mostly it's a demo oriented session. I will try to keep the slides to minimum. So just a quick overview, application gateway. Application gateway, as I said, is Microsoft first party layer 7 load balancer appliance. It's an appliance. So basically, behind the scene, there are physical machines that are running, instances that are doing this layer 7 load balancing. So you can have your web application that can be running in containers, that can be running in AKS, that can be running in as an app service or in VMs, and you can load balance it through this app gateway. Okay, some of the key capabilities. Zone redundancy, that's one of the most important ones. So it's now zone redundant. Just keep in mind, it's a regional service. That's a key difference between this one and the front door, which is a global service. Okay, this is a regional service. So if you deploy it to a particular region, and you can make it zone redundant. Second, another one is a static WIP. And by the way, just FYI, when we are talking about App Gateway, we are talking about App Gateway V2. There was a V1 initial iteration that has been deprecated for some time. With, with V2, the VIP or virtual IP is static. It doesn't change. So that gives you certain advantages. And finally, it supports auto scaling. Okay, so that's very important. So as your load increases, you can do auto scaling to match the demand, the load demand. One more thing, it integrates with web application firewall, so you can have policies that are set up, and you can apply those policies through the WAF capability of Azure Application Gateway. Okay, with that, let's quickly move on. What is with the private deployment? So one of the key thing or one of the key asks from customer, especially large enterprises, which very much heavily regulated and they have very strict security requirement, um, that they do not want any of the management traffic howling or being howled on their own network. So what was happening that there is this, as you can see, there's a gateway manager tag, and that traffic was coming in through a service tag, inbound service tag to App Gateway. If you have a App Gate, without before the private deployment. What private deployment has done now is that you have a private IP of the gateway, number one. Number two, there is no need to have any inbound and outbound traffic. So you can lock inbound and outbound either through NSG or putting your app gateway deployment in a private subnet. You understand what a private subnet is? Private subnet is a feature of Azure Virtual Network which allow you to make your subnet without any outbound. So by default, a subnet has you can go outside, you can go out, nothing can come in. So inbound is blocked, but outbound to the internet is allowed. With the private private subnet, no outbound is allowed from the subnet, okay, to the public internet. So that is blocked. That's a private subnet. So you can put it in a private subnet. So that's the advantage. So you can deny all the traffic. All DNS resolution does take place through private DNS zones. Okay, so that's kind of that's the key feature, and that has been there for public preview for a very long time. Finally, it has gone GA. I mean, if you remember, we did a public preview a couple of years ago, to be honest, and now it is now in GA. Any questions? And by the way, this is going to be our demo scenario or kind of a high level where you have a virtual network where we are running this app gateway. As you can see, it is in a private subnet, so completely locked out. Then we have private endpoint from some app services dropped in there, and that's how we are accessing it. Because the reason is a number of organizations and some of the customers that I have worked with, they need this app gateway running entirely for their internal consumers, not any of the consumers that are external over the internet. And they needed a load balancing solution, layer 7 load balancing solution, Azure first party layer 7 load balancing solution. And that's what this Azure App Gateway private deployment provides. So there's no internet connectivity required or public IP, all good. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Just quickly, some limitations. Number one, private link configuration is not there. As you know, Azure App Gateway does support private link, but Azure App Gateway private deployment does not support that. This is a feature gap. Please keep that in mind. It does have a private IP, but if you want to create a private endpoint, you cannot do that. Okay, so just keep that in mind. This is a feature gap. Then there is some other things like WAF rate limiting. I'm not going to read the slide. WAF rate limiting with uh, with App Gateway WAF v2 that is not currently supported. So this was custom rules. That is not something that is supported at the moment. Yes. And then, of course, watcher network watcher integration. That has been limitation from beginning, and that is still not there yet. Okay. Uh, so that's that, and then the other stuff like this global VNet peering with private endpoint connectivity. That's something to keep in mind. Okay. And let me just quickly go in and sorry, I think this is the wrong slide. Remove that. Okay, we will take a look at the WAF in a second. Let's go first take a look at a quick demo of this feature. So first of all, what you do is if you want to create this, I just want to quickly show the creation experience. There's not much of a difference with the other one, but some things to keep in mind. Before you can do anything, and let me move this that disappeared. Yeah, let me just move this thing here so it doesn't bother us anymore. Um, and before you even go there, let's go into the subscriptions. First thing you need to do is there is a preview feature flag. Okay, I know this is no longer in preview, but you have to turn on that feature flag. Okay, so let's go into the settings, and you can do it from the CLI as well. And if we go into the feature, preview feature, and let it come up, give it a second. Okay, and that feature flag is enable. Um, yeah, let me just type it in here. Yes, this is the one. This is called just get the exact name so we can find out. This is called Application Gateway Network Isolation. So enable application. Yeah, this is the one. I have already registered it. If it is not registered, you have to register it. It takes around, some say, I mean, in my case, it took only a few minutes, okay? But they said give it 30 minutes in some cases. But you have to register that plan. If you don't do that, you create a private app gateway that will not be the one we are talking about, private app gateway deployment. Okay. So now let's say you set that flag up. Now you go in here, you pick a resource group. Yes. Okay. So this one is that. And then you pick up a gateway name. Main thing here is what you want to do is this when we talk about the front ends and back ends, that's where the things will get interesting. Okay. And then you will pick up a VNet. Let's say you do this VNet and subnet, and let's go to the front ends. That's where things will get interesting. That's where you want to pick private, okay, and give it a IP address. The value must not be empty. So this, once you do that, that's when you will have a private app gateway. So first of all, you have to turn on the flag, and then once the flag is registered, then you need to go in and you need to set the front end IP address to private. And when you go in, I mean, this is the whole thing. You go into the creation and create the gateway. And this is the gateway that I have created beforehand because it takes some time to get it created. So and I just want to show it to you here that if I go in, into the subnets, so this is my private app gateway VNet. In that, I have deployed a VM, which is a Linux VM, just to um, for testing. And then I have two app services that are deployed, and their private endpoint are another subnet. So there are three subnets, as you can see here. PE subnet that has two uh, private endpoints, one from each web service that are sitting behind this app gateway. Second thing, the VM, which we will be connecting to send requests to the app gateway, and the app gateway subnet, just to prove my point. Once it comes up, I can show it to you. Look, this is a private subnet, so no default outbound access. Got it? Everything is set here. Now let's go into our um, virtual machine and let's get access to it. So let's go into the virtual machines, and we have one virtual machine that we need to connect to, and we just need to set access. Okay. So this is my VM, and I just need to enable JIT. 1 second. Okay, so that's the whole point of this demo is just to show like how you can connect to it over private networking. So let me just say connect, and I'm gonna do a native connection. Yes. Any questions in the meantime while we are waiting for the paint to dry? And this is and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open a connection to a Linux machine. I'm not sure why it is not cooperating. I just tested it a few minutes ago, so Let's give it a second. Because we need the JIT access to this VM, so give it a second. Um, yeah, that's and that's the challenge with live demos. Sometimes these things kind of okay, here we are. So I think it's gonna take a second. So we just wanna it's loading the JIT process, validating everything, and um, request JIT access, and it's gonna give it access to us. Yeah. Okay. So we have the access now. Okay, yeah, I have access. So I'm going to sign in and okay. So let me just bring it here. So this is my Linux sign in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to query the web. So this is, by the way, this is the 10.0.2.10. It's the private front end web of the gateway. And just take a look here. So I'm hitting two sites. One is called Welcome to Site Number One, and I'm hitting the same one, but basically behind the scene, it's doing the load balancing. So look, the first one was site number one, now site number two. So very simple. I mean, this thing is don't have to explain it too much, but it's doing the load balancing. The point is everything is private endpoints sitting behind a private gateway, and that's how I'm accessing it. Okay. If there are no questions, let's quickly move on to the second topic, which is in public preview, which is about the allowing you to do the custom response for WAF. So you know that web application firewall, you can integrate with Azure App Gateway, and with that you get all the bells and whistles that Fire WAF has, and now they become part of App Gateway. And with that, what happens is if something doesn't match path, it will give you 403 error. But now what you can do is you can customize the error and you can send a different response. So let's take a look. So let me first show you in this app gateway. Let me just show you here. If we go into the app gateways, this is my app gateway. And this one, I just want to mention, it has the web application firewall enabled. So you have a web application firewall that is there, and you will see the policy. Give it a second. Because web application firewall, it just has the policy. So there is an associated policy, and it's a gateway with WAF. Okay. So let me go into the policy and let me show you a custom rule that I have. Okay. Um, this is my custom rule. It says bat query string. So what I'm doing is I'm doing something very simple, nothing fancy. If a query string has in it something called a bad idea, like as a string, I deny the traffic. Okay, so that's very simple. I mean, nothing fancy, nothing elaborate. You can write. This is not the point. The point is how we can do a custom message. So by default, if I do good, I get the response back. But look at the query string here. You see, this is the query string. So this, if if I send this one, look, um, okay. So normally, I'm not sure why this is giving this error, but it will give you the error that 403 error. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to a custom error. Okay. So let's do that. Let me go back here in the app gateway in the policy settings. Okay. And I'm going to make it 429 and I'm going to call it NZAPL custom response. Okay. So this is that. And then I'm going to say very simple. By the way, this is currently in public preview. So let's wait for it to save. Okay, so now this policy have saved. So now we have set a custom response. Let's see um, if the demo still. So if we do good, same thing. It's giving us the right result. But if we send the bad idea, look, NGAPL custom response. So very easily you can change it. And in some cases, you may want to change it because you want to let the customer know what's going on, more detail, or you want to hide the response, whatever your policy is. But this allows you to do that. So this is what I'm talking about, the custom response code and body for App Gateway, and this is currently in public preview. Okay, just keep that in mind. Um, and that's please take a look. This just announced, I think, a few days back. So these are the two updates that I wanted to cover. Just one, basically a quick recap. Azure Application Gateway, as you know, is Microsoft first-party Layer 7 load balancer. It's a regional load balancer, so uh, you can deploy it in a region, you can deploy it in a multi-zone configuration, so provide zone redundancy, auto scaling, static WIP, or you know, these are some of the things that it provides. The two updates that we covered, first is Azure App Gateway private deployment, which allows you to deploy a Azure App Gateway entirely uh, private. So there is no inbound or outbound required to the internet, and it can have a private IP. There are some limitations that you need to be aware of. It doesn't support private link. Second update that we covered is the ability to provide a custom response code and body if you are using WAF with application gateway. So if you are using WAF, you block certain requests. By default, it sends back 403, but you can change it and you can change the code and you can change the response body, like what you tell them. So these are the two updates that we wanted to cover. Just keep in mind the WAF is in preview. On the other hand, the app gateway private deployment is now GA. It's been GA a few days ago. These are the two things we're going to cover. Any questions, folks? So if there are no questions, I hope everybody get a great rest of their day. And if you are in US, a great Labor Day weekend. And hope to see everybody next week for another session of Azure Power Lunch. Thank you very much.